All right, everybody. This video is going to demonstrate how to create a class from scratch inside of Replit. We're going to have a lot of practice doing it and recognizing them in the textbook and on our different activities, but it's also important to know how to create them in Replit. All of our projects up until this point, or programs, have been operating under the class called main. Okay, so that's what this main Java file over here is representing. That's class. Obviously, everything's happening inside the main public static void main, the main method. But we want to create another class. To do this, we need to add a file. So we're going to click on Add a File. Your file name should be whatever it is that you're going to call your class, okay? Our classes always start with a capital letter. For the purpose of this walkthrough, we're going to create a class called person because we're going to get some information about a person, okay? So now that we've created our file called person.java, we now need to create a class header, okay? We're going to declare this a public class, okay? They should always be public. And then it's always going to follow the class name. So we chose person as our class name, so we want to make sure that we type it in exactly as is, okay? The next thing we need to do is we need to declare some type of variables that are going to hold some information about this person, okay? We're going to make a contacts list for a person, so we're going to need to gather some information like names, email, and a phone number, okay? These are called instance variables, okay? And we need to initialize them. So what we need to do is we're going to create just 3 different variables. And I'm just trying to give myself a little bit of space here. So we're going to do private string name, private string email, and whoops, private string phone number. All right, so we're just going to collect these 3 pieces of information from people, okay, to create a person. All right, they're going to record what an object needs to know in order to do the work. So that's what these instance variables are doing. And again, they should be declared right after the variable. The class is declared. Okay. These should always be set to private. This way, the only code that in the class definition can change this code. So the only way this code can be changed is if we're inside the person class. As we add other classes and stuff like that, they start interacting with one another. We want to make sure that there's no way that this stuff changes in another class. So that's why we set it to private. Okay. Next, we need to create some constructors. Another way for us to do this, or a way for us to do this, is to create an object from the class, okay? So now we're going to create our person, all right? So we've got a class of person, and remember, a class is like a blueprint, so we've got the general idea of who what the person is. But now we're going to create like a specific person. So that's like, this is an object, okay? So we create a specific person. So we're going to create our object of a specific person. And what we do is just go right below this. We're going to type in public person, because that's the name of our class, okay? We're going to type in string, okay? Now, these are, in a way, these are other variables, okay? These are information that we're going to plug in. So let's just do, we're going to use the same variable names that we used up top, but we're going to initialize them, okay? So we're going to type in init, and then we're just going to type in name. Oops. Type in string init for email, just to know that this is where our email should go. And string init. Let's just do phone for this one. We don't have to go all the way through. Okay. So we've got that set up. And now we need to go below this. So this is our object that we created. Okay. I'm going to add a opening curly brace at the end. We got some space right there. And now we got to add our constructor information below this, in between this space right here. Okay. Our constructor is basically, we're just going to take our variable declarations that we created at the top, or our variable instances at the top. So like string name, string email, and we're going to apply them. We're going to set them equal to our initialization variable names inside of our object. Okay. So we're going to say name is going to be equal to init name, okay? I'm just going to go back and add a space right here, space below, whoops, space below, okay. We got to do the same thing for email. So email is going to be set to init email, and then phone num is going to be set equal to init phone. Okay, so we just leave it like that. Remember, this uses our class name and allows us to assign values to instance variables once they are created. Okay, so now we've written a class header. We've declared the instance variables. So this is our class header. This is our instance variables. Okay. As of now, this class has no behaviors. We need to create a method. So we're going to create a method that performs a simple task. It's going to print on the screen all the data about this particular person. Okay, so that's a print method. So we're going to need to do that. All right. This method will print the name, email, and phone numbers of the person object. So this is our person object right here. All right, so we're going to print that. It's not going to return anything or take in any data. So the return type will be void and will have no parameters. Okay. So it's not taking in any new information. It's going to be void. And we're going to go below this curly brace right here. And we're just going to type in public void, and let's just call it print. Okay, this is our method right here. Public void print, do an opening curly brace. And in between this, we're going to print out our different variables. So we're going to do println. We're going to say name. And then we're going to concatenate our variable for name. This copy so I can do this faster. Paste, this is going to be email. And then the last one will be for phone number. And just type in phone.num. And then we should have all of that information in there. Now that we've written a class, we need to create objects of this class. So now we're going to create our individual people. Okay. So we've got our object of person. We now need to do that. We now need to create these people. All right, so to create our new people, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our main class. Okay, we're going to our class main. We're going to go underneath our main method. And now we're going to do something we're going to call our constructor to create a new person. Okay, so remember we created a constructor on our person class. This is our constructor right here. So our constructor is called person. All right, so we're going to call this constructor. We're going to type in person. And actually, let me make a note to this so we can see this. So call the constructor, create a new person, just so you have an idea of what it is this code is doing. All right, so we're going to call our constructor. The first constructor is called person. Let's call this one, let's call him P1 for person one, okay? Because it's a new object or a new person, we have to type in new person. And then we're going to do parentheses, quotation marks. In between here is where we're going to add in all of our contact information, okay? You should add in your own contact information. So I'm going to type in Mr. Walther. I'm going to separate it with a comma. I'm now plugging in my email address. So let's just do matt.walther@bmhs.org. Comma, and then we're going to do a phone number, 301-735, and I do not remember the school's phone number off the top of my head. It's 4107 or something like that. Close enough. All right. I think I'm off on that, but you just need to add a number there. Okay. And if we want to print this out, all you have to do is call the print method. Okay. So let me go down here because you're going to add something else there. So we want to call the print method to print P1. All right. So call print method. To do this, we're just going to type in P1.print. Okay. Semicolon. And then when we print this out, so if we go back to our constructor, this is our initial, we're initializing our name. So the first thing we did was we typed in our name, we typed in our email, and we typed in our phone, okay? So that's why these are our instance variables. These are the values that we're plugging in, all right? and those have been declared the same. Okay, so that's what it is that we're looking at with this right here. So this is initialized name, this is initialized email, this is initialized phone number. Okay, and now when we run this, we should print out like a contact card for myself. So it says Mr. Walther, it's got my email, and it's got a phone number. Okay. So that's how you create a class. What you guys need to do is you need to create one more person, okay? You're going to create another person and print that out so that you have 2 people in this contact, okay? That would be good practice. So when we submit this for class, you should have a second person down here.